Hey again, travel bosses. I'm excited to bring you this week's sponsor, TripStreak, the smarter travel search. What I love about TripStreak is the ability to set your personal preferences to either have or avoid red-eye flights or have things like completely lie flat seats. So the next time you need to book a flight, check out tripstreak.com/travellikeaboss.
Welcome to the Travel Like a Boss podcast, the radio show all about traveling like a boss by being your own boss. Stay tuned for weekly interviews featuring guests that have built their own online businesses. If you would like to have access to our entire back catalog, visit travellikeabosspodcast.com for instant access. And here's your host, Johnny FD.
Hey guys, it's Johnny and welcome to episode 172 of the Travel Like a Boss podcast. I'm here with William McGuire, all the way from Ireland.
All the way from Gran Canaria, actually, today.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's actually a big reason why I wanted to talk to you, but let's get a little bit of backstory. Like, did you grow up in Ireland or where are you from?
Yeah. Irish true and true. I grew up in Ireland, stayed in Ireland pretty much till I was 22, 23, till I graduated college. I had a little trip to America for J1. It's like Irish guys kids just go over, kind of work for the summer. You can have this visa thing with America. And that kind of gave me the appetite, I guess, for travel. But when I went back from America, I started working a bit more online, and that kind of opened up, obviously, the whole world to me to go around.
So you moved to America?
No, I actually just went over for like three months.
Okay. For what?
To Chicago.
Yeah.
And it's a kind of a thing in Ireland that basically you take the summer out and you go over to America and you work, you party, you have fun, and just see a completely different world for what we're used to, I guess. But for me, when I went over there, it was brilliant. I had a great experience. But afterwards, I was kind of like really motivated to do a bit more traveling after college.
That's cool. I think we kind of do the same, but we go for 3 days.
3 days?
Just get really drunk in Dublin and then go back to the US and forget about it.
Yeah. I did like 23 years of that before heading to America. So.
Yeah, but that's cool. I think that's cool that that's like a tradition for people. Were the visas pretty easy to get?
You see, that's the kind of the thing. It's like if you're a student in Ireland, there's like a relationship with America that we get this J1 work visa. So it's like a kind of a privilege, I guess. So a lot of us take it up and, they go to different cities, San Diego, Chicago, San Francisco, and everyone comes back with their own stories, their own experiences. And, it's amazing. I recommend any Irish guys or girls listening to definitely do it if you get the chance.
And so what is the upside for America? Is it just to get like cheap labor for the summer or?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think it's just, it's a cultural program. Obviously the countries have a good relationship, America and Ireland. Like what we end up doing a lot of like tourist work, working in cafes, working in restaurants and, new experiences on that. But we're a small country, so it's not like a million of us are heading over. It's like a couple of thousand or I don't know the numbers, but it's not a lot of us heading over.
And about 900 actually go back to Ireland and the other ones stay.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to keep that off the podcast. Hi to my friend Luke Horgan, still out there. I miss you, buddy.
Went out there after college and right back.
Yeah.
I can see that. So I was just in Ireland 2 months ago.
Yeah, that's it. That's it, man. I wanted to talk to you about it. So like just anyone listening to this, if you try to have a conversation with Johnny, he's just like, hold up. I got the microphones, so I can only actually get him in a room like this. But man, tell me what it's like. I was saying to you, because growing up in Ireland and I love the country and I definitely love it after going back after traveling even more. I just haven't actually done the whole tourism thing in my own country, like going to this place. I haven't even been to Northern Ireland. So I'd love to hear like what you got up to and what's your recommendations in my own country. Well,
that's funny that what you mentioned earlier, just in the beginning, is that I told you, let's save this for the podcast.
Yeah.
Is because I really like to keep these podcasts like just really authentic about things that we would just chat about anyways. Mm. And this podcast just kind of allows other people, wherever you guys are sitting in the world, to just eavesdrop in and be like, okay, I'm traveling with these guys, hanging out, sharing stories. So I went to Ireland, I think it was, just about 2 months ago, because my buddy Sam Marks wanted to do this walk. He had this crazy idea where he wanted to walk from Dublin all the way to Galway.
Yeah, that sounds pretty crazy.
Which I think would have been crazy, but then we had a German guy tag along and he's like, oh, well, why walk on this like highway where it's boring? Why don't we go down this, hiking path called Wicklow Way?
Yeah.
And then, go west. And it sounded great on paper. And until you start walking for 8 days and you're exhausted.
We do have transport. If anybody's listening in and haven't been to Ireland, we do have public transport and cars.
Yeah. But
this is optional.
It was amazing. I would say, I'm sure most of the listeners have listened to the podcast. I have a video that I actually filmed over the 8 days where we walked. Basically, we started in Dublin, spent the night there, went to Temple Bar, had a couple pints, woke up in the morning and
Guinness?
of course.
Right.
Actually, I probably had more Guinness in those 8 days than I have my entire life combined.
That's like €8 a pint as well, right?
It's pretty expensive, right?
It's that's just for you guys, right?
But I think the only good thing about it is you can just have 1 or 2 Guinness and you're done drinking for the day.
You think so?
Maybe not Irish people.
Yeah, man, that's where I struggle with. I have to kind of, after being away, and maybe the European culture is completely different, but a couple of drinks in Ireland is more than a couple of drinks in Europe. Let's just say that. But definitely for Guinness, I love a good Guinness.
Yeah, so pretty much what we do is we would walk every day through kind of the Wicklow Mountains for about 25K, and we would end up in this little tiny village, usually with, like, one shop, one pub, one restaurant. Yeah. And we would have a pint of Guinness and then pass out.
Oh my God. Just from you're so tired, right?
Yeah, we're exhausted. We had our packs on our back, but it was fun. It was nice seeing not only the countryside, like the beautiful trees, absolutely. The animals, all the sheep.
Hey, leave my neighbors out of this. But like, did you get the weather for that? That's the thing I'd be more concerned about,
So we went in summer. So technically it would have been great. It's like the perfect time.
There's no such thing as summer in Ireland. I don't know. It's a week in April, I think, most of it. Or it's the Leaving Cert results, our exam results, our exams. When we're doing our exams, that's when the summer tends to come out.
I've heard that as well. But what's crazy is we had probably 5 really good days. It was sunny. It was beautiful. It was green. And then we had 2 or 3 days where it was just piss raining for 7 hours.
I take those though. I take those odds. Like that's one thing me and my friends have had the conversation so many times where like on a sunny day in Ireland, it's like the most perfect place on earth. Like, there's green everywhere. You get your friends, you go to the beach and we just love it. It's just the other 360 days that I kind of like, the weather can't be always that good, But it's beautiful.
Yeah, and I guess that's a little bit harder time as well because to be honest, what you said was exactly right. On the beautiful days and sunny days, I was like, Ireland is great. I should just move here. And then when you have an entire day of rain and it's gloomy, people get depressed.
I've heard that. I heard that. And my girlfriend's actually from Germany, and she's kind of just like, hey, does everyone just not get depressed when it rains all the time? But I found like that maybe is a spark for some of our creativity. Like, you see a lot of Irish like musicians. There's a big culture of music and arts there. And like, I'm a big believer that from that like rain and the gloom, what every other country might see from the outside, like that kind of gets us into like maybe the sessions, the trad sessions, the music. So we kind of make the best of it. I'm sure you've maybe found out with Irish mentality. It's very kind of positive in like making the best of the situations and stuff.
Yeah, but, actually, I did notice that everyone's super friendly.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. It's like
over the top friendly.
Yeah, I'd say like for us Americans are over the top friendly a little bit. It's a different type of friendly, I guess. But like, yeah, Irish people, I'm really friendly. When I go abroad, I realize that we apologize for everything. Like we bump someone in the street, like, sorry, and if it's not even our fault. But I remember when I went away first for a long year and I went back, I was just like, everyone's like so happy. And they're like, the guy at the border control is like, welcome home, William. And I'm like, oh, he says my name. And it was just like really actually warm to come home to. But it's true. I think everyone's told us this before. And it's so amazing to even come back to the country and just experience it for yourself as well.
Definitely. So I don't want to make this podcast about Ireland.
I don't know.
I'm sure we can talk about it the whole
Irish
time.
Tourism Board. If there's a check in the mail there, please. Thank you very much.
But the one last thing I have to ask about Ireland, everyone's wondering.
Go ahead.
What do you think about Conor McGregor?
Conor McGregor, man. Yeah. Wow. Is this mic on? No, like, yeah, I love him. I'm a big fan. Like we've been following him. Irish people, I think, have generally been following him since day one because it was such a novelty having like an Irish guy in this UFC, like representing like an individual sport. We have like a lot of team sports, but I'm a big fan. And he actually, I think, like, obviously he can be pretty brash in some of his interviews, but if you ever see his one-to-one interviews, I think he's so articulate. Like, he comes across so articulate, especially compared to some of the American and other sports stars who maybe don't have the mic skills, I think it's called. And what I personally love about him, to be honest, is when you see like CNN or not CNN, but ESPN interviewing him, and he's kind of making like Irish jokes and in jokes that our country would get, but they don't, just go straight over their head. And, for us, it's quite funny just to see the Irish culture or the Irish jokes kind of go around the world. But, yeah, I'd be interested. What do you guys think of him? He's obviously making waves if you're bringing him up.
Yeah. So I've actually been a fan of him from day one of him being in the UFC.
Are you into MMA?
Yeah, I'm a huge MMA fan.
I'm obviously like a bandwagoner. So I've been into it since Conor McGregor's been into it. So,
well, that's cool that he brought so many people there. And actually what's crazy is I think it was his first fight, maybe first or second UFC fight in the US. And I think it was in Vegas.
Mm-hmm. Boston, I think, man. I think it was Boston.
Maybe the first, I don't remember, but I remember there's one of those fights, one of those early fights where the audience was something like 50% Irish.
At least.
And not just like Irish people that live there.
Yeah.
But something like 3,000 people from Ireland flew from Ireland, took off time of work or school and flew to the US, another freaking country across the Atlantic Ocean to go to this fight.
It's absolutely true. And very early in his career, like our country wasn't exactly booming at the time. We were in like a recession, or we're just coming out of it. So it wasn't like there was like a lot of disposable income going around to do these, but it's massively true that we do really follow our teams. I'm not sure do you know much about football or soccer, but like we're known as like amazing supporters for that. And the McGregor thing, I think the whole world is seeing it. And I think that's what makes us so proud. And I can tell you straight out, like, most Irish people don't really care about the result of this fight. They're going over there to support their guy. They're going to have a good time. You'll be hearing ole ole, whatever the result. They've already kind of won. It's just an experience for them to go over there.
Wait, what is ole ole? I thought that sounds Spanish.
Yeah, so Irish have the fadas in their letters as well, but I'm gonna claim I think it's Mexican, yeah, right, but it's ours. I think we went. This could be complete horse crap, but we went to USA in '94 in the World Cup, and I think we learned it there or before that. But yeah, it's just ole 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 ole.
Yeah, that's definitely
you will hear
Spanish.
that. You will definitely hear that. You'll definitely hear that the whole fight. I think like that.
So you guys just like heard it at a sports match?
No, I'm not going to say that. And I don't want this documented. I'm going to claim that when I grew up, I heard it first at the World Cup, and I think we came back with it from that. But it's known as the Irish song. It's known as a Celtic and Irish song.
That is so funny. All right, I like it. Any predictions on Floyd Mayweather versus Conor McGregor?
Yeah, McGregor in 2 if it's 8-ounce gloves, and McGregor in 4 if it's 10-ounce, right?
You really you think he's gonna knock out Floyd Mayweather? 49-0.
No, I'm just not going to be on record dissing him because honestly, what I got, like, if I was to really, like, think logically, because I think everyone's doing this in their heads, right? Everyone's just thinking, like, oh, but imagine if, and all this. And I'm actually flying home for the fight. I haven't seen my friends in a long time, so I'm hooking up with my friends and we're just going to watch the fight. I'm looking forward to that.
So you're flying
I'm flying from Kiev. It's going to cost me a shitload of money. Sorry, if I can curse in this? It's going to cost me a shit ton of money, but it's just like, I haven't seen my friends in a while. This is like the perfect, like, we used to watch even Mayweather against Ricky Hatton, and we used to stay up for these big fights. But I'm flying home just to experience it. You can imagine that. Yeah, it's like I'm actually going to spend a shitload of money just to get home and experience it with my friends. Never mind getting to Las Vegas or whatever, just because it's just one of those. It's a landmark moment for Ireland. Honestly, it's a landmark moment, I think, and I wouldn't miss it. But yeah, for the prediction, like, yeah, we want him so bad to win. I want him so bad to win, but I got a feeling for 4 rounds, he's just going to be like confusing, getting a few hits and probably that people don't expect, and just giving it all. And I just got a feeling after that, like, Mayweather will start picking him off and he'll maybe gas out just a little bit. But I think it's going to be more respectable, whether that's authentically respectable, Mayweather might like be picking him off and then kind of ease off a little bit, but I think he's gone for the first 4 rounds. It's going to be so interesting. And then it's just going to be like anything can happen in those 4 rounds. I think the longer the fight goes on, Mayweather's going to pick him off. I don't think Mayweather's going to knock him out. I think Mayweather might retire him with body punches or something like this. Yeah. What do you think of this whole Malignaggi? Have you been following that? The whole Malignaggi side of things?
I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
He knocked out.
Yeah, there's a big controversy.
Knocked down the other boxer.
Or pushed or something.
Yeah,
like that. They're jumping on anything at the moment, right?
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing here's a lot of lessons to be learned from this. Whether you're boxing fans or McGregor fans or Mayweather fans at all, some of you listening might be like, what the heck are these guys talking about?
Yeah.
But here's a couple things that I like really apply to everyone is one, it's so cool being in our position, we're being digital nomads or being location dependent, where we even have the option to, first off, even be in Ukraine.
Yeah.
And then second, fly back to Ireland, which is literally as far, like we are as far east in Europe as possible, and you're gonna fly basically as far west it's not even in Europe, it's the UK.
Absolutely, yeah. I realized that now when I start looking at the flights home. But it's quite funny because how we kind of met as well was when I found out I was going to go to Ukraine. A friend said there's something happening here, and I wanted to meet him. I was like, Kiev, right? It's not on my radar, and I've been to obviously a lot of places at this stage with Kiev, and I love podcasts. So that was actually the first thing I did. I went into like the iTunes podcast player, typed in Kiev, and your one came over. And to be honest, it kind of relaxed me a little bit because it was like so cool because I know you guys have been to places that I've been to. So it's like, oh, you can compare it to that where it fits. And it kind of just eased, I suppose, any anxieties you have about going to a completely new place. And, day one, I met you, actually. I was introduced to you and I was like, oh my God, I was introduced to you as you're my idol, right? Cause I listened to you in the podcast. But, I wouldn't go as, you're my idol, Johnny. You are right now. But yeah, it was such a great resource. Honestly, I think that's the thing where when you're making podcasts like these, you're actually already like, it's the people who are going to consume this and maybe come to Kiev like a month or two later. And for me, it was like last week, and I was like, okay, I'm going. It sounds legit. And it's 2 days, but it's definitely a great impression so far. It's exciting.
I think that's crazy that people are starting to search in like the iTunes podcast store or on their podcast app.
Yeah.
Like they would search in Google for something. Because I'm sure if you, let's say you Googled Kiev in Googled Kiev in Google, you would have gotten a bunch of random sites that really aren't going to give you the information that you want, and maybe if you do it on YouTube, you get slightly better information, but it might just be showing you like, other random videos about the city or tourism or news or whatever it is. But the fact that you searched in the actual podcast app or in the iTunes store, I think it's almost like opening up a whole new kind of way that people find content.
Right. Cause like you work in content, you work in marketing, digital marketing, online business. And, so have I have a lot of experience over, 7-8 years now. And you kind of know what the world is like. And it's like you get filters for where to look for content. I'm not going to start Googling Kiev top 10 things to do. And it's obviously some sponsored article maybe or some, first page ad or whatever. But over the time I realized that people as I said, a massive fan of podcasts. I have like little, my sports podcasts, my kind of entrepreneur podcasts. Well, I realized that people kind of take the time to do podcasts and who've been around for more than like 7 or 8 episodes, which is a key thing as well. They stuck to it. They're actually kind of putting time into what they're doing. And also, they have like a reputation at that stage. They're not going to just blow the reputation over some garbage piece of information, because if they're doing 100 podcasts, they're like, want to be keeping the quality high to maintain their listeners. So it's like, right, this is happening so fast. So I was like, I'm not going to spend all day on the computer researching Kiev. I've done things like that before. And I was like, just give me the lowdown of Kiev. And I was like, I was lucky. Yeah. I was lucky that there was like, some guy who's been like you guys who've been, it was with X, I think your friend X came across as a really good guy as well. But you've been to places as well that I've been to, and I think it was like half an hour to 40-minute podcast, but it was just like high quality. All the kind of questions that I have in my head about the people, the language. I think you were saying about the language about Russian and Ukrainian, and just like filling in the blanks in my head, and straight to the point, half an hour is like, and then obviously after you Google a little bit, but it's all just backing up what you guys saying.
So so you came here for basically a job offer?
Not so much. I wouldn't say I hate the word job. I don't do jobs. I'm an entrepreneur. Like I work with my friend Shad actually online. I do a lot of analytics and kind of digital marketing work with e-commerce companies originally, but we've been me and him have been in contact for last year. We might sometimes we'd work on a project together. Sometimes I might be full and I'd hand a project to him. We have that relationship, but we've developed like really cool kind of growth hacking is the buzzword, technical marketing skill set of like, we can program, we can design, we can write, just kind of a little bit all rounder, but specialized with the technical side. And what it is an opportunity to work with blockchain companies. And it's just such a new niche. For me, it's so exciting. And he said, come over here, check out these companies and see if you want to do some work with them. It's not like I'm retiring being a digital nomad. It's just, as well, like you like to do face-to-face interviews. Sometimes you just need to do some things face-to-face, meet the people who kind of you start a few projects, and then you can always do them because it's digital work. You can do them while you're traveling. I'm actually due to go on a cruise next month. In the end of September. So that's why I decided to come so quickly. So I could do all the meetings, find out how is Kiev and everything like that before I head off.
That definitely makes sense. I'm a big fan of starting projects in person as well. That's actually why my buddy Chris is out here, where we are creating version 2 of my affiliate course, Earnest Affiliate, that's coming out soon.
Awesome.
And he's doing like the back end marketing, installing the Facebook pixels and setting up all that stuff, which I'm terrible at.
Yeah, that's what a lot of people terrible at. That's why I had a job, I guess, or, clients for so long, and they just don't want to be thinking about that. It just takes up so much mental space. And when someone's doing it every day, like you'd have to do this maybe twice, 2 businesses. But when I'm doing this every day for clients, it just comes like clockwork, where a lot of people only have to do it once. So that's where kind of our value offering was originally. But, so face to face, what we're compared to maybe Slack or instant messaging, like where do you see like the big advantages?
I don't even have Slack, 'cause I hate text messaging.
Yeah, nice.
I tell everybody that I work with, I said, send me 1 email a day. Have it be a summary of everything that you want to talk about.
Getting your attention the whole time.
Yeah, it's annoying. To me, it's
So
really
true.
annoying. Like, I tell people, like, message me if it's something that you need to answer to like this second.
Mm-hmm.
And then like the second message should be, let's FaceTime or let's meet.
Yeah, that's interesting. Like I actually, it drives me crazy sometimes with Slack, with some teams who haven't, I'm someone like, this deep work, we just block out everything for half an hour, put in half an hour and just focus on what you need to get done. Like I'm a big fan of that, and I've been definitely guilty of just leaving Slack on and responding. And I think it's just, look, what you're saying there sounds to me like you're reacting, instead of reacting to lots of messages and then deciding whether they're important or not. You're just like, look, send me 1 email a day. I'll execute it. Think, okay, which is important here, and then try to them and focus on the stuff that I need to be focusing on.
Yeah.
And you're kind of like, you're in bootstrapping what you're building right now, right?
Yeah.
Cool. How far away is it?
Bootstrapping in the UK.
Here. Not a bad place to bootstrap so far. I've been impressed with everything I've seen. Like for the value wise, it's definitely good value. Like how far away are you?
So basically I'm refilming my entire course
here,
which
oh wow,
the first time around took me I think 3 months to build the site and film all the content.
Yeah,
but this time, because it's more of a refresh of everything, I know exactly what I want to talk about this time and what order. I'm banging it out so fast. I've been recording a new module every single day, and it's like 24 modules. So I think I can get I think I already have like 15 videos recorded in the last 2 weeks. And then the last part is always hardest. Like we have to make the sales video, cause that you actually have to like spend a whole couple of days planning.
Absolutely, yeah.
And then the marketing part of it. And so the goal is before I leave Ukraine to have it up and running, to kind of have the sales coming through, have it all pretty much automated. That way people can find the course, join it, get remarketed to if they didn't buy it right away. And then I can just kind of go in maintenance mode for 2 months and just relax.
So like actually my previous kind of position was I was a part of the team at measureschool.com. I had a mentor there, I guess, who kind of like I was his apprentice, and he just taught me everything he knew. Julian Huenman. He's my mentor. I should really know how to speak his name by now, but it's a German name. But like, it was exactly that. We actually made courses for technical marketers on like Google Analytics and Google Tag Manager. So these are kind of like, complicated abstract topics. And our job is similar, turning something kind of complicated in people, as you said, are scared of, and I don't even want to think about it, to, as you know, like everything now is becoming more data driven. You need to kind of validate what you're doing. And it was the same thing, it's like we just launched a new course, but then we have to come up with what's the most important. And I'm sure you want to cover everything, but then that's the filter of what's the most important. And then when you get the course, you have to record the course, and, you make a mistake, you leave the mic on, it doesn't sound good. You might have to do that a few times. And then when you have the content ready, it's like, the marketing is a whole new thing. You have to get it maybe in front of it. We did an early bird audience. Are you doing something similar, just letting a few people in earlier to see what it's like, or is it just the full Monty at launch? I haven't thought about it yet. I'm
kind of the type. Well, first off, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to release it before it's actually publicly available.
Mm-hmm.
I'm basically going to give a free upgrade to everyone who bought Earnest Affiliate into the new course. Cool. And then they can not only be like the I don't want to say beta testers, because it should be complete by then, but they can go through the course first, because it'll be a smaller audience, and then they can let me know if there's anything wrong, if anything needs
even missing videos, like technical things. It's not even the quality of the content. It's just like things like
for example, one of my videos, I was like, why is this 30 minutes long? And I realized that there was like one piece of text that was like 15 minutes after it ended.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm like, so then I had to luckily I could just edit it and re-upload it, but little things like that, I think, are kind of nice to have a smaller group for.
Do you mind if we get into a bit of geek marketing talk or
please.
Technology talk? So like, what's your stack looking? Are you using, where are you hosting the course? What kind of website you're using? And
so currently Earnest Affiliate is on WordPress. The sales page is on WordPress. Mm-hmm. The sales video is hosted on YouTube as an unlisted link. But then once they click add to cart, that goes to Samcart,
Oh, wow. Okay.
which then uses Stripe
yeah.
to collect the payment and PayPal, which I'm trying to get rid of because I can't stand PayPal.
True.
And then once they buy it from Stripe, it goes back to Samcart that triggers I think it's a wishlist member something where it makes them account in the WordPress backend. And then they get access to the course, which then the videos are then hosted on Vimeo Pro. So they only run on my domain behind the paywall. And then the discussions are on this crappy PHP forum, which is terrible. And then like, it's so complicated. Everything keeps breaking. Every time WordPress has an update, one of the apps has an update, it breaks the whole thing again. And this is why I haven't really been pushing the course.
Yeah,
just because I'm like, I need to redo this.
Just even as like, I've had to do analytics and tracking. So like a normal kind of project for me, maybe over the last year was someone come in, they're launching a course or launching maybe e-commerce, and they want to know, are people buying it or where they're marketing, which sources of traffic are working. And just I go in and make sure everything's kind of tracking correctly. And just the sound of that is just a nightmare. You're looking at 3 or 4 different platforms. WordPress, obviously the YouTube is the lead. They go to Samcart, is it?
Samcart.
Yeah. You a fan of that? Is that working okay?
It's way better than what I had before.
Yeah. Geez. But then I guess like one part of you is probably thinking, there's some simpler way to do this, and the other part is just like, I already figured out 80% of the problems. I just need to get it done at this stage.
Like as soon as I set it up, I'm like,
uh-oh,
this works, but never again.
Oh god, yeah.
So this time around,
what about like those Teachables? Sorry to jump in, but Teachables, WordPress, what's the word? Teachables. There's a few of them going around, I think. Yeah.
So I'm using white label Teachable this time.
Okay, good idea. I'm a big fan of Lifter LMS. It's actually free. It's a WordPress plugin, but that's for kind of content learning management system. I'm big into like I work with so many educational companies. I'm really into like edtech and this whole, learning online, because I've learned everything myself actually online through courses like these. But, we used Lifter LMS at Mentor School after going through the same kind of journey of trying things breaking, even taking out videos and swapping videos. But, so you've actually stuck with, white label Teachable for this one?
Yeah. So this one, everything's going to be on white label Teachable, which means the sales video is going to be hosted on their platform. Mm-hmm. When you click add a cart, it's their platform that the payment process is still Stripe, which is fine.
Yeah.
But then it's, then they see it, they make an account, the discussions are built in to Teachable, the videos are hosted in Teachable.
So it just sounds so simpler, right?
So I think the only kind of external things would be the email autoresponder, which is fine. And then we'll have like a private Facebook group, which is fine. But then I think most of it, 99% of it's going to be within Teachable. So far, I'm really excited about it. I can't give them my recommendation yet because it's not live, but as soon as it's been up and running for 2 months, I'll probably write a full review on it.
Nice. And this is your second course launch, right?
Yeah.
And did you learn a crap load after your first one?
Yeah, a ton.
Yeah, everyone does, right? It's always better. It's always better the second time. It's scarier because you try probably be a bit more ambitious and you're obviously trying to take everything to the next level. But, is there a third one on the way afterwards?
No,
you just gotta scale it off the experience,
I'm done. I mean, I'll update the course. I'll update the course, but no, I have no desire to have like multiple courses. I think I just want this to be like kind of the one over kind of encompassing course, and then that's it.
And that's the approach we took as well. We kind of just went for the whole all encompassing course, and then maybe for that was like our big ticket, I guess. And then for that, we broke it down into little bits of information. It's a bit in videos. We do weekly videos of things we mightn't have covered in the course, but then always that course is so valuable because it has everything covered. Some people might find more valuable insights into like the last half of the last few modules, and as long as it's there, it's good. Sounds exciting. It sounds draining. Just looking at Johnny now, he looks like he's putting a lot of work into it. Yeah. It's interesting, cool.
But it's fun. And I think it's exciting. And I think a lot of people are wondering right now, they're like, how did you guys even learn all this stuff? Because it sounds complicated. I think this might be over a lot of people's heads.
Is this one of the reasons actually why you want to head off to Gran Canaria afterwards for like a holiday break? Yeah.
It's like maintenance mode. I mean, the way I've always worked is I'll work for 2 to 3 months in growth mode or building mode, which is like 8 to 10 hours a day. And then I'll take 2 or 3 months in maintenance mode where I'll just work for maybe 2 hours a day at the most and just kind of log in, make sure everything's okay, but not really grow anything.
Yeah, see, that's something like when you're working, I think when you're starting off, right, just making money is so exciting, just working and getting good at what you do is like exciting and rewarding in itself, you know. But it's definitely like one of my dreams was, you know, to work really hard for like 6 months of the year and then to like, you know, go off, live life and travel kind of carefree for the other 6 months. And the thing is, you could probably do it, like, you know, if you get your money right and your budgeting right, even now, but it's just getting in a position to do it. But I kind of do that whole 12-week year thing, you know, like 3 months, just this is what I'm doing this is why Kiev was such a bell curve, because I had my whole like 3 months plotted out. But that's, I guess, one of the benefits of just being able to pick your laptop and you know exactly how to go and travel, right? You do it so much, you get used to it. But, yeah, I like to do the 3 months. It gives you this like deadline of getting out of bed, getting stuff going and not this feeling like, oh, you know, everything can wait another day and everything can wait another day and then it never happens. You know?
Yeah. And also it doesn't burn you out because you know this is temporary. This is just going to be for 12 weeks.
Have you had problems with that in the past, with burnout?
Yeah, oh, definitely.
Yeah.
And not 12 weeks, sorry. Is it 12 weeks? Yeah, 12 weeks.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely. I like if something is going to be forever, after, you know, you can be excited for it for a week, 2 weeks, a month, 2 months, but then eventually you kind of just like, I can't do this every day hardcore forever. It's like burning the candle on both ends.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So me knowing like, okay, once this project's done, then I can just kind of go back to scuba diving for a while, chill a bit, you know, maybe lay on a beach, you know, and then it kind of almost kind of encourages me to work harder now for that day to come faster.
Absolutely. And that's actually something I went through as well, where I was so excited by the work. I was so excited by I'm actually doing this. You know, I'm traveling, I'm making money and I was working really hard. Like you're working 10, 12 hour days because if you're working like a freelancer as well, you don't know where your next dollar is going to come from. And in Ireland, you know, you kind of just tell up to like, if there's work is there, take it, etc. But afterwards, I think after a while, I had a bit of that burnout where I didn't have the other things in life that I enjoyed doing. And maybe in college and maybe when I was back home in Ireland, like even just going playing football, going to the sports. And I found that maybe in Las Palmas because I had that like, I'm not saying Spanish are lazy or the islanders are lazy, but they're pretty relaxed. They have a good lifestyle. Trust me. They have a very good mindset. They have a great mindset in life as in they just enjoy it, you know, and they work, but they're relaxed and they do different things. And I found that I couldn't help kind of get into the society. You know, you do the beach volleyball, you do the soccer, and it was such a great balancing for me because I guess I'm like that type A personality, you know, work hard, try hard, ambition. And instead of softening me, it just kind of made me better at that. You know, made me like I was enjoying life more. I didn't feel like work was work. It just felt like, oh, this is what I do during the day. And then I'll have something to look forward to at the end of the day.
So did you feel like it made you work less, or do you think you still worked the same amount during the day, but you just had a better way of relaxing and unwinding when you get off?
See, hours, like I'm not a big fan of like hours as a determinant of work, you know, because it's productivity, I guess. And you could just spend like 8 hours in front of a computer and the last 2 hours are just nothing, you know, and your mind's burnt out. So in Las Palmas, I just found that I was in a higher energy state because it was like, it's the opposite of Ireland. It's like 25 degrees every day. It's beautiful weather. You know, you couldn't help start getting into the sports and the running every day a little bit. And I just had more energy that when I did work for like 6 hours, like it was really good. It was like, I was enjoying it. I was talking on the phone a lot, you know, as you have to do, being location independent. But like those 6 to 8 hours were really good. They're really high quality. And then afterwards, I still had energy to kind of go do stuff with my friends, you know, go to do different sports. And I found that, and I probably didn't have that before, where I used to kind of do the whole weekend thing. You know, you work for 12 hours, you're burnt out at the end of every day, you might throw on some TV. And then, and this is even, as you said, like a digital nomad, you know, you think you're living a dream, but you're still working hard to kind of have that dream, I guess. And then you're waiting for the weekend nearly to come. And then you're like, oh wait, isn't this the whole thing you're trying to get away from a little bit? But, yeah, I found that I got a great life balance, and hopefully I'm taking that here to Kiev as well. You know, it's not like, I'm sure you take a little bit of every place you've been to away with you. You learn about yourself. You learn, oh, I like this, you know. Maybe in Las Palmas, people weren't as ambitious and hungry as they might be here, but they definitely had a really good quality of life, and I hope to take that with me.
I like that. And I also like that you stress the fact that it's not about the amount of hours you work, but how productive you are during that time. So how did you end up in Gran Canaria or Las Palmas? Actually, what is the Gran Canaria Islands? What is Las Palmas?
Yeah, okay. So in short, right, like me and my girlfriend, we've traveled quite a bit. I went to Taiwan out in Asia, East Asia, or Taipei, lived there for about a year and a half. And I started off English teaching, then I started doing kind of like marketing and design work out there. Okay.
So pauses. So this was, you went from Ireland to Taiwan.
Yeah, like it was quite crazy actually, right? So you never really talk to people, obviously because my girlfriend's been with me actually a lot of this time. I never really had to tell someone what I did before, but I graduated from college, right? I had with a few friends, we planned this kind of Asian trip, to China, Hong Kong, Taiwan to China. So I booked a return ticket for the month, and I remember selling my car and everything to afford it and to have a bit of money in the bank, of course. And at the time I was making a bit of money online, like writing, articles and stuff and sports articles. And I was like, yeah, why not? But I had always kind of maybe planned to come back. But, I went over there and I just didn't take my return ticket. Ended up in Taiwan, in Taipei, in the middle of this crazy city. A friend hooked me up with an apartment for a couple of weeks, I was like, okay, yeah, now what? And then, it was quite good. I just wanted the experience of just working and traveling abroad because I knew that there was a lot of English teaching jobs there. So my girlfriend went back and finished her master's, and I stayed there teaching English for a couple of months. And from there, you start meeting people. You started doing a bit of design work, which is a kind of hobby of mine. And I started working and making my own money as a freelancer / entrepreneur at that time. And yeah, we lived there for a year. Amazing city. I still miss the food. And after I left, I had the skills to be a digital nomad, I guess,
I think that's cool. So while you're in Ireland, you kind of picked up some work online, freelance, sports writing.
Bingo.
How did you get into that?
So before I went to college, I had this job as a call center, right? You answer 300 calls a day. And it's like, you're talking about draining. It's like, people complaining about their broadband not working, right? And I basically kind of left college the first time around, went off and worked for the year. And probably the best thing I ever did, because you're 18, you're working, you're with adults, with children responsibilities, and it's hardcore. Went back to college, did business, and did 3 years. And after the 3 years, I ended up, for my work experience, in another call center, right? So I was like, oh my God, I'm after doing 3 years of college, doing everything right, allegedly, and I'm in another call center, So I was like, okay, I gotta start taking my life seriously. So I started looking at other things you could do, and I found this place where I could go to football matches in Ireland, like League of Ireland matches, and maybe write reports. And basically, it was making money online, because you're just arranging to write articles. The more articles you get, the better you write. And I just really, really enjoyed it. And I was already, in my last year of college, I was making money online, just writing articles. And you build up your referrals, connections. Can you write maybe a couple of articles on this? So I had that, and it was a really good confidence thing, because it was like, whatever happens, I can just get one of my clients and write a batch of articles, and I get paid. I
guess this was before Upwork was popular.
Upwork became an option, I guess. If I wanted more work, but at the start it was just connections. It was just you go to websites, and then you find a few places needing writers and stuff. So it was before Fiverr and Upwork and all this. But that was kind of the starting point of writing. And then when I was writing, I started liking designing, and then I started designing, and then
how did you know how to design?
It was just everything. Well, writing obviously was kind of natural, I guess, and I was writing about something I enjoyed. Designing was YouTube videos and MacBook. I had a MacBook. I was like, I got to use this for something MacBooky or whatever. But I started designing apps, iPhone apps and stuff. Yeah, it was just kind of.
So wait, you learned how to just create an actual app?
Yeah, I was creating apps in Taiwan. That's what I was doing there for a little while. Where maybe there's a restaurant that does food delivery, and it was the Taiwanese they use lots of apps on their phones. They don't really. They obviously have laptops, but it's really the culture is apps at the time. This is when it was all taken off. 2 years ago.
So you were creating apps in Taiwan in Chinese from learning how to program this while watching YouTube videos.
Yeah. So so it worked. It worked Weebly and Wix. So you have these kind of wrappers, right? So the actual technology was pretty much there. You don't need to create this Uber app or this highly database driven app. It was more just right, let's a website as an app. Because people just didn't look at really websites there, and there was this culture of just getting apps on their phone. So I learned how to design the apps, and it was quite easy, because it was the same as designing a flyer, if you're doing a nightclub flyer or anything like that. It was just that, but obviously there are app screens.
So it's template, almost drag and drop.
It was the tech behind it, the app's functioning, where template was actually surprisingly easy. So I was like, wow, this is so cool, because then I was thinking, all you got to do now is think of cool designs to build around this and make it look really good. And they were a big fan of the European style. So I was basically looking at pretty stuff in Europe, really cool stuff from sites in Europe, and crossing that over, as in crossing over, putting the Chinese font on it, and they really loved that, and that's how I kind of got started with that.
That's really cool. I think that's a brilliant idea. Did you ever have any kind of self-doubts on maybe I can't do this, I can't learn this?
Yeah, you have that, and the idea here is that you start, every time you do something, you have that and you break through it and you do it. It's that confidence boost that, I just moved to Kiev for a new thing that I didn't even know was legit or not, but every time you break through a self-doubt and do what you said you're going to do, it's like you're just stronger. It's like, you know, like a video game character, we just level up. So like in terms of like my career, it was like writing, designing. Then what I said, I used a design skill to hook up with that guy, Julian, in measure school. And I started like building his website, and he just taught me everything he knew about analytics and data and programming, which is way over my head at the time. But I just knew that over time, if I just showed up every day and learned a little bit, I'd have this kind of skill to my bow, I guess. And yeah, it was cool because now and then it all adds up, you know. That's why I was able to come out here and being able to help straight away, because I have these different skill sets with design, programming, marketing technology, etc., and Google Sheets, etc.
I like that a lot, because I think a lot of people listening, you know, are starting out and they're like, well, I don't have any skills, but kind of just like you did, where you take the most baseline skill of writing, while you do that to make a little bit of money, you learn a new skill on your own, like the designing, and then you bring that along, and then it's almost like, I don't want to say you're trading skills, but you're giving value to someone, and then they're naturally going to want to give the value back to you, and you learn along the way.
Absolutely. And I think like even like we're like, when you kind of, I always had like I wouldn't say a safety blanket. I always just created a safety blanket. And then when you take the next step, you're a little bit fearless. So I was born lucky, I guess, by being able to speak English. So with an Irish passport and English and a degree, I was able to go to Taiwan and get a teaching job in seconds, because they're hungry for English teachers. So I was always like, okay, if shit hits the fan, I can just teach English and make my way back up, you know? But then when I knew that, I was like, okay, I can really give this designing thing a go and maybe do it half and half and see where that takes me. And then when you have the confidence that you've made money designing, you're like, okay, what else, what kind of drives, it's not so much passion, it's more what drives you, what you want to learn next, I guess. But like, I had this conversation with my cousin, because he's starting out, and I think more and more people are going to be doing this, really, you know, because there's so much more skills and trades you can do now with technology. He's like actually a physio, and he's kind of going through this whole journey now where he's like doing his business online from London, and he's looking at Kiev. You know, I told him I was going to Ukraine. He's like, Kiev, ? I was like, how do you even, like, you know what I mean? Because he's looked at it, he knows it's cheap, etc. But he's asking me for advice, you know, and I think now is probably the first year I'm comfortable giving advice. Before I'm like, you're like, I'm figuring this out. I have no idea, you know, most of us didn't, I think, when we're starting. But now I'm just like, look, just relax, do what you can do at home online, you know, learn the ins and outs, learn what you don't like, learn how it works, build a very basic skill. And even if it's not a lot of money, it's just like the to pay the rent, to pay the food and everything like that, build maybe a couple of months of runway or 3 months of runway. Might sound risky to some people, but then you've already had the confidence that what you're doing is working. So you can always go back to that and then develop maybe his course, his content and all this, and his time to do it. It's the same with my girlfriend. She just like teaches German, but she, instead of going to Upwork and italki, like she built her own website. She got her own clients, and she has these steady clients. You know, wherever she goes in the world, she's talking to like a girl from Italy for 2 years now, you know, and she just talks and improves her German. And that's her kind of core skill. And then from there, she might like do a course or do something else in the space, but she has that kind of core skill she can always go back to. So if you get those core skills, you'll have the confidence to maybe try different things. Like McGuire with his MMA, you know? So he's like, if this boxing thing doesn't work out, I'll go back $100 million and beat some guys up in UFC.
I like it. Actually, another big kind of lesson we can learn from Conor McGregor is he takes these big risks that almost aren't real risks.
Yeah, he's starting to get into my head, right? Because that's why I'm starting to think like that. You know, you're not supposed to, like, I don't know. I completely respect it, you know what I mean? Because I think everyone starts finding meaning in their people that they like and respect, you know? And honestly, I think he represents a lot of Irish people because we're used to leaving the country and going for it, you know, instead of just reacting for it. Like, you know, I could easily stay at home in Gran Canaria, even just behind my laptop, as you said, you know, because my work is remote, but you have to have the initiative to kind of go out and get it as well, you know? It's not just about like, I work behind my laptop, that's all I need to do. Like taking this podcast, you know, you've just taken my podcast virginity or whatever like that. I don't know what to expect, but you asked me, I was like, all right, you know, you just roll with it. But absolutely, I think like that, yeah. Sorry, I'll let you finish.
No, I think that's amazing. And the thing about like McGregor is so he was always, you know what I mean, like from day one, at least in the UFC, he was great. And he could have, you know, took that safe route of continuing to be great, being UFC world champion, milking that, making money, and he would have made millions of dollars, which I think he already did. Yeah. But then he decided, okay, you know what, let me take a fight with this guy who's like 2 weight classes above me. And if I win, then I can be like, I have, you know, 2 UFC belts. I'm the best in the world. I can beat someone even bigger than me. But then if he loses, people, actually he did lose that first fight.
Yeah, he fought him twice.
And
that's
then,
even crazier, you know, he did it twice. He went back and he fought him at the same way, in the same way.
But that was insane to me. It was like when he lost that first fight, it was almost like I don't want to say he had an excuse for losing because of the weight difference.
Yeah.
But then it was kind of like an almost no-loss situation. It's not like he instantly lost all his fans. It's not like people are like, oh, this guy sucks. They're just like, oh, okay, well, you know what? Let's give him another shot because of the weight difference. And then he happened to win that second one. And now that what he's doing with boxing, I think is a even smarter move where if he loses, I think everyone will just be like, oh, well, you know, he's not a boxer, so it's fine. But if he wins, people are like, oh my God, this guy really is the greatest.
It's so true. I think this is kind of tracing back to that whole self-doubt thing, people starting off and it's just so alien to them, maybe working while traveling, etc. And I think what it is like a lot of people, they analysis paralysis, think of all the things that go wrong. It's like human nature, you know, to run away from that tiger and be prepared for the worst, right? But you should also just look at like what could go right. You know, what are the actual, like, as you said, like, yeah, it looks like a risk, but you know what? So what? Like if he lost the fight, he goes back and he fights 154, he still has millions. If he, like the Mayweather fight, it's a no loss fight. He's made $100 million and he's going to go back to UFC and still be a king, you know? So a lot of people will be like, why? You can't do this because of this. And like people and their heads will think of all these limitations. And then it's like, right, the other column, okay, what happens if, and what happens, I think, actually, you know, Tim Ferriss, I'm pretty sure a lot of people do in this industry, but like, he has this thing where like, what is the worst case scenario? You know, and that's probably when you're asking me about self-doubt and fear. I always just go back to what's the worst case scenario, you know, as in I could always go teach in English. I could always live at home for a while and work from there and save up funds or whatever, you know. So it's always like, what's the worst case scenario? And that kind of gives you that little comfort blanket that you take on these additional risks. So if you're happy with the worst case scenario, go for it. Just go for it, you know?
Yeah, I like it. Actually, so I went on a date yesterday.
Yeah, wow.
And at first she was like, why are we even bother going on a date? Because
that's the first thing she said?
Yeah. Because she knew I was going to be leaving soon. She knew, because she's Ukrainian, so she knew I'm a digital nomad, that I travel. And she's like, what's the point of us even going on this date? And I think she even texted me saying something, I almost need to pull it up because it's like worded in this way where I'm like, I never thought of it that way. Like what are the upsides and downsides of dating someone like that? So she basically said, so what if we go head over heels and then 2 months later you moved to another country, leaving nothing but emptiness inside?
Wow. Deep, man. Deep. What's the word? In Ireland we call that a DMC, a deep, meaningful conversation straight off the bat.
And I was like, wow. I was like, I never thought of it that way. And so we went out and she asked me this again in person.
Yeah.
And I said to her, it's like a cost benefit analysis in my mind. And
cold calculations here, man. Wow.
And
opportunity cost.
Yeah, it really is. And I said, like,
what's the ROI from this date right now?
I was like, if this does go well, you know, and not necessarily with her, but like with someone you date, right?
Yeah.
So what is the potential upside of going on a date with somebody and having everything go right is a lifetime of happiness.
Yeah.
And what is that worth? It's worth like, it's unlimited value, right?
Absolutely.
But what is the downside is if it doesn't go well, maybe you wasted 4 hours of your time. You wasted, you know, here in Kiev it's $30.
Yeah.
because food is pretty cheap here. In New York, you might be wasting $300.
Yeah, exactly.
So maybe that cost benefit analysis would change in New York where if it cost me $300 to go out on every date in New York, I would probably be thinking, you know what? I don't know if this lifetime of happiness is
it puts a lot of pressure on every day from the off, right? People just sweating at the bill coming before it even starts. But that's quite funny, actually.
So, but I was like, okay, you know, potentially waste some money, some time, and then maybe even some heartbreak, right? Like if it doesn't go well or she turns out to have ulterior motives or whatever, it could be some heartbreak. But the upside is unlimited lifetime happiness.
Did you say this?
I said that to her.
Man, it sounds good. Like you're swooning me right now, Johnny. You're just like, it's good. It's a good, quick answer. Well, I suppose you had time to think about it from the original text. But yeah, like it's It's 100% true. Like, again, I think people are, everyone, it's just, it's again built into like our human makeup that we're amazing at future visioning problems. You know, like, it's like we have this prefrontal cortex that we can imagine the future, right? And by default, we kind of imagine all the problems. What if I fail this exam? What if I don't get a job? What if I lose my job and stuff like this? And also, even if they have plans, you know, they have like 3 months or 4 months of plans. They're like, hey, this doesn't fit into my plans. So why bother? But the other thing is like, all the other things that are going to happen on the way, that will probably eradicate those problems, you know, as in if it's the idea of like, what's the one thing you can do today that'll get rid of all the other things you're worrying about, you know? So it's like people don't think about, yeah, and if that happens, then we're madly in love and, we've like 2 months together that we loved and then afterwards we probably figure something else out, you know? So it's like they think of just like, oh, it's all over and it's all dead.
I almost think this is the
bring it back to relationships, but it's a digital nomad podcast, right?
No, well, I mean, it's part of it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I almost think that with both relationships and with, let's say, startups, it's almost better when you're a bit young and naive. You can't be so, I mean, yeah, let's say people are like in their 20s, right? A young, you know, early something or mid something startup founder or somebody who's in their early 20s going out dating. They're just thinking about this big idea of lifetime happiness or this, you know, groundbreaking new app that's going to change the world, that's going to disrupt industries. And they're just looking at this big goal. They're like, let's do it. Let's give it a shot. While people that are a bit older, let's say mid 30s or 40s or 50s, we still have kind of this goal, but we're like, you know, maybe it won't be as great as, you know, as grand as we think it'll be. And not only do we have that big goal kind of diminished a little bit in our minds, but also we start thinking about all the problems and potential downsides of it. And that's why I think it's so much harder for someone the older we get to kind of have that naivety of excitement and just going for it. And I think that hurts us.
It's, and again, because a lot of those fears are unfounded, and it's just like, people think they learn from experiences, and you should and hopefully try to, but a lot of people don't learn properly. You know, they just think, oh, this went bad. Maybe it didn't go as bad as they think, or maybe they weren't in a position to think of the benefits from it at the time. If you get hurt or if a business doesn't work, you know, it's all winner, like, it's the whole, do you really fail if you learn so much that like the next business you do is twice as big as the other business was ever going to be, and things like this, you know? And it's just like, yeah, it's kind of scary because I'm only 26, right? So if you're saying to me, I'm going to get more fearful, I guess it's something to watch out for. But yeah, like I never had this whole, I think, listen to your podcast, you introduced yourself that you were in San Francisco, was it LA or San Francisco? And you were enjoying life, you had a good life, and then you left and just said, okay, I want something different, you know? And I respect that because you actually had like the life or the kind of the goals or the targets other people were aiming for. But like in my naivety, like I came straight out from college, living with like 6-7 guys, you know, living on cheap food and, you know, like living on a budget. And I think one thing I did is I never kind of left that for the first couple of years. You know, I kind of continued that college lifestyle. So I was able to live cheap. I was able to get by. I was able to not expect to be making lots and lots of money or whatever. And that's maybe naive looking back, but it was like, it was nice. It was raw. It was like, I wasn't, oh, why don't you have this and that and this? But then I was like, yeah, but you have mortgages. You have loans to pay. And then all these things are just weighing you down that you can't just pack up and leave sometimes, you know? Yeah, it's a thing that, the childlike mentality a little bit of just going for it. You know, when a child learns to walk, it's like a big thing. It's just learning to walk and just not being scared of it. Everyone can learn that, I think.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, you know, ultimately it's the balance of the two, right? Because on one hand, you don't want to be childlike delusional and not have any kind of plan or backup, you know. And on the other side, you don't want to.
It's like a car, right? It's like you're a Ferrari, like driving 150 kilometers an hour, right? But then you're like, right, if I drive 150 kilometers, I'm just going to crash, right? So, but I'm not going to drive like a Polo and just like be chugging along. So as you get older, you just learn how to drive your own brain, your own car a little bit better so that you're like streamlining it. You're chilling. You're going where you want to go and you're looking out for everything. You're looking out for these warning things that happened in the past, but you're also not scared maybe as you would be because it's a balance. With more experience, you have more connections, you have more people. You've talked to more people who've had problems and stuff, you know? So it's like, it's just learning how to drive, I guess, you know? I
like it. So you're in Taiwan. You designing apps in Chinese. I'm assuming you don't speak Chinese.
So the first thing I tried to do is that the first thing I learned to do, I don't speak Chinese. The first thing I tried to do is just make them laugh in the language and then you're sorted, you know? So every time, like I learned like little bits, you know, introduction. I have a Chinese name, which is really cool.
What's Chinese name?
Le Jean Wei.
Les Jean Wei.
Les Jean Wei.
What does that mean?
It'll be in the notes, right? Do you know, they were asking me what I want. Like, you had to choose to register as a person and everything. And I wanted to be called like Tiger Dragon or something like from a Kung Fu movie. It was a bit weird. But I think I ended up taking my mother's, so, you know, like my name's William McGuire. McGuire would be my dad's second name. So I ended up taking my mother's second name. So it was like William Randall, you know? So it was like, and that was, ended up being my name. But, yeah, how did we get on to, oh yeah, so you know, in life you have the same conversations every time you meet a business person or a prospect. Like I had a friend there who would do the translating, of course, but you'd go through the same consult, same pitch or same intro, and they'd be always like, "Oh, do you speak Chinese?" And I'd be like, "Mama, who?" And they'd all just start laughing, and then it just like broke the ice with every conversation. So I just had that line to go back to every time.
That means más o menos for you Spanish listeners.
It's like so, right? So. I just thought it was such a, when someone told me that, I was like, "Oh, that's so funny, Mama, who?"
Yeah. Or I guess I'm sure there's a lot of people that don't speak Mandarin or Spanish, so it means more or less. Or a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, more or less. And but obviously no. And but no, I learned how to say thank you. You know, your manners, and but. I don't speak Chinese, no.
Okay. So how did you go from building these apps to kind of where you are now? Like what was after that?
Yeah. So when I say building apps, again, like these were designing kind of apps that were wrappers. And I suppose that's building at the same time. Like when you build a website in Weebly or Wix, you're building a website, but it was mainly like designing wallpapers, honestly, and icons and stuff, and learning how that process works, right? And once that was a much more valuable skill you can imagine in writing, because at that time then writing and Upwork and all these things started taking off, and you could basically hire writers for dirt cheap, and they didn't last long, but that's the culture at the time. And it's not like I could go to many football matches in Taiwan, right? But after that, I kind of got a bit anxious, honestly, that, wow, I have like clients and relationships in Taiwan, but like I don't want to spend my whole 20s in Taiwan. It was meant to be a bit of a pit stop, and me and my girlfriend were be like, wow, we're going to spend the next 3 or 4 years in Taiwan. We didn't even think about this. But I realized with the skills I had, I was like, hey, I know how to get clients online and stuff. I now have better skills. Like I can design apps, and if I can design an app, I can design a landing page, like Instapage. It wasn't that much different, you know? So I started doing that whole cliche, go to Bali for a month. Wow, this is amazing, because Taipei is such a crazy busy city, but Bali is so chill. And you're like, this is so nice. Like, I love it. And then I went back to Taipei, and then from there I was like, okay, we're going to go on this whole eat, pray, love travel to these countries journey. And we went to Chiang Mai. So we went to Bali, Ubud, absolutely amazing for a month. Loved it. And we then went back, and then I started digital nomading. So I went to Chiang Mai, Krabi. And
how long were you in Thailand for?
About it's probably 6 months, the whole Bali, Taiwan. Then I started traveling Taiwan itself, which is an absolutely beautiful island. So much to do there as well. And like being digital nomad, I guess, in Taiwan, and then to Chiang Mai then for the last 3 months. So spent 2 months in Chiang Mai, and then maybe a month going to Krabi and Bangkok and all these other little hot spots, you know. You were in Chiang Mai, right?
Yeah, for a long time.
Love it.
What were your thoughts on Thailand versus Bali for being a digital nomad?
So Chiang Mai was where I really started becoming a digital nomad. So I had clients, like, I was kind of like, again, I was like balancing my bets, I guess. I had like a client in Taiwan, and I was still kind of finishing off the project. So I still had a bit of money to kind of pay the bills. And then I started kind of full on, like, getting clients online in Chiang Mai. And
what do you think that was? Do you think it was just a better environment to work in Chiang
Mai? Yeah, because of the scene, I guess. But honestly, I didn't know before going, and it was like a scary decision because they didn't have any public transport and stuff. But I'd learned to drive a scooter in Bali, because you have to. So I was like, I could drive scooter. So now I was like, oh, I can just go to all these other little cities that don't have public transport, and it's easier to get around, you know? But the time I went to Chiang Mai, I was actually kind of experienced by that stage of going to new country. So I was like, okay, I need to figure out the problems up front. Like, where do I stay? Where's the good place to stay? Because it's such a big difference as well. You know, where should I eat? Where should I buy my food? Where should I get the scooter? And different things like that. I went on to a site called Nomad list, or #Nomads, and it was all laid out. Yeah, I went to Chiang Mai. I lived in Green Hill Place, you know, beside Maya, by my shopping center. And it was just like, everything's like taken care of, right? It's like your mind is just free. Like, you know, you have a cleaner for like $4 or $5 or something comes in, does your apartment. You have like your laundry is really easy. It's like a present every time it gets done. We lived right beside a shopping center, but the shopping center cooked all the good food. So you didn't even have to cook your food. Like, it was like, you could go to like, oh, the food, man. Oh, I'm getting hungry right now. Like Salad Concept, Beast Burger, all these amazing restaurants. So then it was like all these other things were high quality. You loved them, the massages. And then it was just like you had all these working spaces, and it's like your mind was free, because you're like, you're enjoying life. There's cool people there. I speak to Dutch people there. They were like, they had money to live anywhere, but they're like, here it's like, their mind is free to work, you know, their mind is free to take on the challenges that work gives them and not be like distracted by all these menial challenges that they just don't need to be thinking about if they're building a business. You know, like if you're just working a standard job, you go in every day and you know what you're facing. Like life challenges seem like, oh, they're easy. But if business is hard, you know, you're facing problems and fires every single day. So when you add that then to like all this other stuff that can happen around you, it gets a lot harder. And do you enjoy it yourself?
Yeah, I actually agree a lot with you, where I think Bali was good for vacation.
Mm-hmm.
Chiang Mai.
The internet Bali isn't great, right? It's like, it's always a bit like anxiety where it drops in and drops out sometimes.
I think almost everything in Bali is a bit of anxiety.
Yeah, it does. Exactly, yeah. It's a crazy place to learn how to drive a scooter.
Yeah, very dangerous place. Like, a lot of people get in accidents there.
Oh my God.
Like,
and
way more than Thailand.
like, you always think about these things like are dangerous, right? And afterwards you realize, oh, that was dangerous. You know, like things like plane. I remember getting on a plane in China thinking, oh, this is dangerous, like a dodgy plane. Man, but then when I was doing like I did have a bad scooter accident actually. But, when you driving scooters in Chiang Mai is probably the dangerousest thing. Like, and, you know, cause there's such bad traffic history there and everything like that. But it becomes, it goes over your head when you're there, but coming back out, you're like, whoa, it's putting my life at naivety again, right?
Well, I definitely think that Chiang Mai, as you said, is a great place to kind of put your head down, build a business and bootstrap, because not only is it cheap, but also what you mentioned about all you need is kind of being taken care of.
Yeah.
So you can just focus on your business.
It's not like in a lazy, privileged way or whatever. It's actually like just simple, like really simple things that even
everything just works. Everything's
the food, you go to one little street and all the amazing restaurants are there, right? You're not like traveling all around the city. Like I remember Berlin. I love Berlin, but it's like every time I wanted to meet my friends for soccer or whatever, like football, I had to get on an hour and a half U-Bahn, meet them for an hour and a half, and then another hour and a half back. And it was just like, that would take up so much time of your day. And when you're just starting out and like every hour is worth so much money to you, it's just like, you just got to learn how to use that time really wisely. You know?
I definitely agree. So if you guys want to come to Chiang Mai, check out my blog, johnnyft.com/Chiang Mai.
Yeah.
And
I probably did check it out, honestly, before I go. Cause again, that's when before I learned podcasts, you know, you start reading so much. The thing with Chiang Mai is that a lot of people start doing that then, you know, they start putting out content. You've been doing this a lot longer than like a lot of other people, but they start like, that's their first hotspot. And what are they going to be? They're going to be like a travel blogger, you know? So you see all this stuff in Chiang Mai, but yeah, it's like things like finding the workspaces, things like, you know, how to do the meetups and everything like that. It's invaluable, you know, learning that before you go.
And it's all there. So I'm very curious why you went to Gran Canaria. Where is Gran Canaria?
All right.
And
it's a funny story. So we after Thailand and after doing that whole travel, we went back home and my girlfriend went to Germany. I went home to Ireland for a couple of months and we're like, what will we do next? Like, will you get like standard jobs and stuff like that? At that stage, I actually had a kind of online apprenticeship, I guess. I was working with a colleague, but she was like, will I get a job? Will I do a bit more traveling, whatever? But we kind of took a middle road where we went to Berlin and I was still like location independent and she kind of got a job in Berlin, right? That she wasn't really happy with. And I absolutely loved Berlin. Like I went in there and I was just like straight off, I was going meeting people, the big tech startup scene, football matches. And I just really loved the city for the time I was there. But it was very hard to get we had a 3-month Airbnb or whatever. But it was very hard to get in a 12-month contract house. There's a lot of degeneration. There's like people renting out their house to Airbnb and issues like that. But it was quite funny. So my girlfriend was coming home from work and she'd go to the library and she was learning Spanish. She's massively into learning languages. And she came home one day with like 10 Spanish books, you know? And I was like doing like this whole cost benefit analysis, like, right, all you want to do right now is learn Spanish, you know? She's after learning English, she's learning German, she speaks a few languages. And I was like, use 10 Spanish books, right? You're making like okay money for the house, but like not so much, like basically money that we're spending just to live in Berlin, you know what I mean? And then we had a nice place, but then it was like, the next place isn't going to be as nice as this. And we're just going to be spending money just to have this place to keep doing what we're doing. I felt like spinning wheels a little bit, you know? So it was like I had enough income to get us started somewhere else. And I was like, yeah, so what I just did is I went on the laptop and I looked up best places to live in Europe, first of all. And then Gran Canaria was there. Las Palmas City was there. And yeah, I was just like, Spanish speaking, you're learning Spanish. It's, 7% tax. It was so cheap. I was like, we're actually going to make money going over there. We're not going to like lose money, even if like we didn't have that income at the start. Like she knew how to make money online with the teaching. So we're actually going to be the costs up, going over there and live in this amazing island and just see what it's like for you. Again, not like saying, oh, we're going to live there forever. Just see what it's like, you know? So yeah, that's how I just Googled the best place to live in Europe. Cause that's the other thing, being European. The Thailand thing was always a bit annoying, but the visa and the Taiwan was as well. You always had to do these like visa trips, which is what we did for the traveling. That's why we went to Bali for these like 90-day visa trips. But we didn't have to worry about that if we stuck to Europe. But like Canary Islands is like, off West Africa. So it's it's not in Europe really. It's like off West Africa, but it's obviously belonging to Spain. And we got there. Like the sole aim was to learn Spanish over the year. I was like, even if like we don't work, right? If we learn Spanish, learning Spanish is going to open up a whole nother world. You know, if you think like some people think, oh, my career won't develop. It's like, if you learn a new language, that's going to 5x your career, you know, your value to an industry. But yeah, we went over there and haven't looked back. Absolutely loved the place. Even this move to Kiev, like we're keeping an apartment and we're happy residents of Gran Canaria.
You know, I just Googled where Gran Canaria is.
Yeah, right.
And I had no idea that
but look where Ireland is, right? It's actually the next island down from Ireland. So it's like a nice little easy flight for me home. It's only €100 flight for me home, even though it's like off the center of the world.
So technically it's the next island down from Ireland.
Yeah, I'm going to claim that.
That's passing France, Spain, Portugal, Morocco.
Yeah, there's a lot of water, right? So safe landing if you crash.
So
yeah.
I assumed that Gran Canaria was near like Palma de Mallorca.
You got it head there, man.
It's like
it's known as a continent on an island. So like there's different weather atmospheres. It's crazy. Up down south it's like tropical. Up north it's subtropical. And then there's actually there's 7 islands in total, but 4 major ones: Tenerife, Gran Canaria, Lanzarote. I have to speak Spanish, I guess, and then Fuerteventura. And yeah, it's just, there's so much to do. I've only been to Lanzarote and Gran Canaria, and now I'm still like excited about going to the other 2 islands. And a lot of people I met in Berlin and Chiang Mai were always passing through, you know, oh, you just got here, or you're just leaving, you know. But the thing in Las Palmas, I started chatting with people and they're like, oh, yeah, we came here 10 years ago only for a year or a holiday, and we just never left, you know. So it's like a different vibe.
So to clarify, Las Palmas and Gran Canaria is the same place.
Yeah, Las Palmas is actually the capital city of Gran Canaria. Like the whole population, Gran Canaria is like 800,000 maybe. Like give it a push, 770 or something. And then Las Palmas is like the majority of that, you know, like 600,000. And it's like the capital city of the Canary Islands. You know?
Okay, that makes sense. And it is nowhere near Spain. It's actually closer to, it's Western Sahara. It's like east of Algeria and Morocco.
Absolutely, But the flights and everything are cheap. Like they get like, obviously being so remote and being so part of Europe, to get a lot of like discounts, and they want digital workers there. They want people to go into the island and not just be this tourist island. They want people to like, you know, hire maybe a few people there, and they're really promoting that. And that's like kind of nice. I also, it's probably not true, but I also in Thailand, like, I'm a tourist, but I'm working here, you know, it's a bit uncomfortable. But in Gran Canaria, it's like there's workspaces popping up. There's like this culture of, oh, these guys are coming in, there's like they're covering it in the news and everything. And I just really, there's a really good vibes there, to be honest. Yeah.
I like it. I've actually heard a lot of good things about it.
Yeah.
I have 2 friends that are on their way there right now.
Yeah. Marta and Christian.
Yeah, you know them.
That's funny because my girlfriend's good friends with Marta. They hung out a lot over there actually originally. We're half thinking of Marta. If you're listening to this, we have a Airbnb because you might come over here. But no, yeah, my friends, I met them over there, and they were in Gran Canaria before. But you can see that they always head back, right?
Yeah.
So they're heading back.
They said it's one of the greatest places they've been. They're from Poland.
And that's crazy as well, isn't it? That even that you're able to just spot 2, because I was talking to your friend Christopher, I think yesterday, that you're able to just throw 2 names up there, and it's like, oh, I already met them. So it's like you're around the world, but you're meeting.
And this is what's amazing about this lifestyle, being a digital nomad or being location dependent. We just keep meeting people all around the world and just meeting up again.
Yeah, it's so cool even just to jump into the conversations about the different places, that it's always like, you know, sometimes, you know, what's their thing, you know? It's like everyone has different things, right? But sometimes it takes that layer to figure out what's that person's thing. But I know straight away, oh, you've been to these places, what did you think of this restaurant? And it's like you always have this like interesting idea of what did they think of this place? Or some people prefer Chiang Mai, some people prefer Bangkok because it's so bustly, you know?
So do you prefer Gran Canaria or Chiang Mai?
Oh yeah. Honestly, me and my girlfriend, like, we have like cravings for the Chiang Mai food. We were thinking of like, oh, just rent this place out on Airbnb and go back to Chiang Mai for 2 months just to eat, you know, not work. But I think, yeah, every day wake up in Las Palmas, like, I was genuinely grateful. I was just like, this is such a beautiful place. There's palm trees everywhere. We lived on the beach. We had like swimming. I was getting more fitter and everything like that. And I was just really enjoying life. And yeah, you start thinking, what was the thing that drives me? Like, I came here for like a business opportunity or working and exciting work, you know, but I came here really happy because I knew I had a place that I really loved, you know, so that made me feel like, if this doesn't work out, it's just business, it's just work, you know, but it's not like I've lost my home. I have my home. I know where I am. So I can go to Kiev. I can stay here maybe 2 or 3 months or however long it takes. But it's like, I know that when I'm done, I have a place to go back to, you know, and the rent is reasonable. Definitely. It's probably comparable to Kiev in pricing from what I've seen so far. Cause the income isn't great. Like the average income is like, well, it's higher than here, but it's like €1,000 would be really good income over there a month, you know?
I like it. Well, I would love to talk to you all day about Gran Canaria.
Yeah.
I know you got to get back to work soon.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to get in trouble.
Yeah.
20-minute chat, there's going to be some serious editing done in this, right?
Yeah. So what's the website of the business that you're working on?
Yeah, so right now, me, my friend, co-founded the 8760. This is marketing for blockchain, so I'm not sure there's many blockchain enthusiasts there, but I'd like to just shout out to 2 websites, if you don't mind. One is my mentor and really great friend, Julian, measureschool.com. And that's basically everything it needs to be like a data-driven technical marketer, which is a very, very needed career path right now and lucrative if anyone's interested in doing that. So check out measureschool.com. And another one is deutschmitmir.com. I'll spell that one for you, but that's my girlfriend's site where she teaches German, which is also a great site.
Very cool.
Plug there. And yeah, there you go.
So
sharing love.
The project you're working on with our friend Shadi is the 8760.
It's actually how many hours is in a year. So
wow.
we started this like last year, just like as a kind of like thing to keep ourselves motivated, because we're trying to like up our skill sets, up our career, and just try different businesses out. So we didn't even have a reason the business exists, but he had the name 8760. And he's doing like medium blog posts at the time, but kind of dropped. And then this opportunity came out and he already had a ready-made name. So it's the 8760. But yeah, there's no need to plug it too hard because I don't think it's quite niche, but definitely shout out to measureschool.com if anyone's interested in learning some of the skills needed to be a technical marketer.
Okay. Very cool. And you know what? I think it'd be cool to have Shadi on the podcast.
Yeah, he's just, anyone listening to this, he's dead jealous that you interviewed me first, right? But it's just the Irish charm. You just get in there quite early.
Well, I mean, I know Bitcoin and the crypto is getting huge.
Yeah,
I'm excited to learn more about it, but at the same time, I think it's
one of those it's like those rabbit holes. And I think that was my thing. I was always a bit like yourself where, this looks really cool, but I have work to do. But now I feel like, my work now. And that's the cool thing. When you build up the skills, you can go, okay, now I have these skills, where do I apply them? Where do I want to actually work in? And I was like, okay, I have these skills. It's the same as working with any other business in some regards. And at least I get to learn about the business and industry while I'm here and just use the skills I already learned.
I love it. So if you guys learned anything from this podcast, it is start with your base skills, level up from there. Don't be afraid to take some risks. If people want to reach out to you, are you on social media or anything?
Not really. It's another thing. I kind of took a break from Facebook to focus on my own life instead of putting pictures of it all the time a little bit. But I'm on Twitter. It's just 1WMCG. So I'm probably going to start trying to use that a little bit more. But yeah, that's it pretty much.
Very cool. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Appreciate it, man. Really good chat.
All right. See you guys next week. Bye-bye. Man, there was a ton of information in that interview. I really enjoyed talking to William, and I hope you enjoyed listening, because I know there was a ton of info. We're going to have to talk more about Gran Canaria because I'm excited about it. I'm stoked about checking out a new place. And if you guys are stoked about coming to Chiang Mai, I'm very excited to announce that the 2018 Nomad Summit tickets are officially released. So you can get the pre-order sale right now. Just go to nomadsummit.com/tickets, or just go to nomadsummit.com and click on tickets, and you can get discount early bird special tickets there, and I hope I'll see all of you guys there. I think it'll be really fun. I also want to give a big thank you to everyone who's been leaving these amazing 5-star reviews of the podcast on iTunes and on other places wherever you listened to the show. Without you, we would not be able to continue growing and getting, basically ranking so high for people to find it, like William did when he wanted to travel out here to Kiev. So big thank you to let's say Fraggle Rock 420. He says, I'm so glad I found this. Johnny is the man, brings great guests and asks really good questions. The podcast provides funny and most importantly, actionable advice for the aspiring e-commerce entrepreneur. 5 stars. Thank you, Fraggle Rock. And if you want to book your flights to Gran Canaria, Kiev, or any of the other places that we've mentioned, maybe to Ireland to watch the Conor McGuire fight, go to tripstreak.com/travel-like-a-boss, and you can find all your flights in the way you like to book flights and the way that you like to fly, customizable, red-eye flights, lay-down seats, whatever you enjoy there. So thanks again to our sponsor, tripstreak.com/travel-like-a-boss. I'll see all of you next week. Bye-bye. Thank you for listening to the Travel Like a Boss podcast. If you want to hear more, including the bonus, How to Choose the Perfect Niche episode, join our mailing list at travellikeabosspodcast.com. See you next week, and remember, if you want to travel like a boss, you need to be your own boss. So start your online business today and start living the lifestyle you've always dreamed of.